Hello and welcome into this NowMedia production, the first fully bilingual TV in the United States, and in this legal program called A Legal Talk with Mac and Natalia. And today we are going to discuss interesting topics regarding business mediation, and we are going also to segue to some interesting points of Mexican law. I am Natalia Łowska-Czajka, and I am an advocate, attorney in Poland, now being here in Houston, and I welcome everybody with all of my heart.
Yes, and I'm Mac Pierre-Louis, attorney, mediator, and arbitrator, working throughout Florida and Texas. And so today we are pleased to have with us a guest who's going to talk to us a little bit about business mediations and what it is and how it can help business owners and anybody who finds themselves in potential conflict at the workplace, whether they're an owner of a business or an employee or a contractor of the business. So we have today Dr. Barbara Manuso. Dr. Manuso, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you for inviting me today.
Awesome.
It's a topic that I love to talk about, so thank you.
Yes, and let me give just a brief little introduction for you, actually. So back in 2017, I got a chance to take one of your courses, and that started just an enriching experience of sitting at your feet, learning all about mediation, and you subsequently trained my partner Natalia as well. And so we both had the opportunity to work with you across the last number of years in the things you do best, which is mediate and train mediators for a living. So it's awesome to have you on to talk about this important topic. So first question, what is business mediation?
Well, business mediation is an opportunity for the business owners usually, or maybe some of the managers of the company, to have a conversation they probably haven't had that has created the conflict. And it can be encouraged with a lawsuit. If they are going to a court and they've already filed, then they have that opportunity to, they're going to be compelled by the court to do their mediation, or they can just do it with their own initiative to have this important conversation.
I like how you frame it, Dr. Manuso, that mediation is a conversation. Me being a mediator, also trained by you to do mediation here in Texas, I know how important it is for people to listen to each other and to hear and to negotiate. Tell us, what is the core of mediation in terms of negotiation, the deal?
Well, what's important in mediation is that the parties are available to not only to hear each other, but to be heard. And sometimes that doesn't lend itself. Sometimes mediators think that the parties need to be in separate rooms, and they don't have that opportunity for the parties to be engaged in the conversation. So that's very, very, very important. As step one is that the physical setting allows the parties to communicate with each other. As a mediator, you can't be afraid of conflict, so you have to be able to support the parties who are in conflict, and giving them communication skills and opportunity and a safe space to do it is absolutely critical.
Yes, how would you differentiate business mediation for the business person from other kinds of mediation like family? Because I know you've been doing this for about 30 years and a trainer for about 29 years. So congratulations on your 30th anniversary of doing this kind of work. But how would you differentiate, having done all these different kinds of mediation, what sets business mediation apart?
Well, business mediation is among or between people who might not have an emotional relationship. If you're talking about family mediation, of course, this is a couple that has been living together, they've interacted together, it's more emotional. Business mediation might be emotional if people have worked together for a long time. Of course, People talk about their work family and their home family. So you might have an emotional component to the business mediation. And then sometimes it's purely a contract that's going to arrive. People don't know each other. And it is just an opportunity to find out what went wrong and how they together can find solutions. Because that's what mediation is. It's the opportunity for the parties, not the mediator, for the parties to find a solution. The mediator's role is to support them through this journey and to give them the skills and the space and the opportunity to come to their own solutions.
So if we are to encourage business people to go to mediation and give them like the most basic description of what can happen, what they can expect, why they should be there, can you give us a few words about it so that people are certain this is the thing and this is the way to do it?
Well, in a business negotiation, again, there's two entryways. One would be that it was compelled by the court and they're going to be lawyered. They're going to come in with their lawyers, so you're going to see your parties and your lawyers. And then there's a lot of opportunities that people are pro se, which means without an attorney. So there's between the two entryways, the concept is still the same, that the parties are able to hear each other and to be heard. And what happens in so much mediation, but especially business mediation, people hold their cards to their chest and they don't communicate well. They might communicate to their friends around the water boiler or whatever, they're locking themselves in a room to talk to somebody else, but they won't talk to the person that they're actually having the conflict with. And so this is what the strength of the mediation process is about. And as they roll forward, the mediator is the architect of the process and helps shepherd them through what the different steps are. And if they stay to the formula, it does reinforce their opportunity to learn something sometimes they haven't known, so they can make a more informed decision on exactly what has happened that has brought them to this mediation or quality conversation.
Well, when you're having these quality conversations, can you give us some examples of typical disputes that parties come to the table to discuss?
Well, there was one that has always stood out in my mind, which was quite interesting. We had 8 parties, and it was a court-compelled mediation. The parties had, they came from around the country, actually. They came into Houston for the conversation. And what had happened was actually nobody's fault, but nobody knew that. And so the parties got together. Everybody thought they had each acted according to their agreement, their contracts, their expectations. But because communication was not forthcoming, they ended up in court, and they ended up with a multi-million-dollar issue that was devastating to some parties that weren't at the table for the mediation. And so during our conversation, because I did keep people together, they did have a chance to learn. And one of the senior attorneys at the table said, "Oh my gosh, now I know what happened." And they explained it to the junior attorneys and to the parties. And everybody just sat there going, "Oh, wow." And when they came into the program, into the mediation, they walked in, "This isn't going to settle." And they all were like little lambs by the time we finished, and going, "Wow, that really was effective." And they had a good solution and a remedy to prevent it from happening again. That was the darn part of it. I felt very good about that mediation that day. And this took about 4.5, 5 hours, I think it was.
Dr. Manuso, thank you very much for this encouraging and constructive example. I think that it's the time when you tell us if anybody wishes to mediate with you, their business problems, their business issues. what would you say is the best way to contact you, and how would you arrange the entire process?
Well, I'm always available to talk and to find out if they're coming from a court. It's court ordered, so that's compelled, and it's pretty well set up. But if they want to just come on their own initiative, we're happy to do that with them, and they just need to call. And I'm happy. Mediation can be done as quickly as possible. You're not held at a docket like in a court of law that could be months, maybe even years. In some countries, it's years before they have an opportunity to mediate. We could mediate in a few days, and if need be, a few hours. We like to make sure that the conversation is timely and that there's an opportunity to stop the conflict so that more collateral damage is stemmed early on. And I think that's very, very important for people to understand.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And just quick shout out to your podcast that you're also on at LMI Podcast as well. So people who want to learn more can definitely check that out. That comes out regularly. Okay, guys, we'll be right back. Thanks so much.
Oye, Lily dice que AT&T le da a todos las mejores ofertas.
Minus the air quotes.
Las mejores ofertas.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Te lo dije, aquí las mejores ofertas son para todos con una variedad de planes.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
En AT&T les damos a todos nuestras mejores ofertas en cada smartphone.
Stop and think. How often do you take the time to set goals? And when you set those goals, how often do you hit them? The problem is the word goal setting. We all have goals, but goals are just wishes. Goals are what we want. What we really need is called result setting. My name is Katrin Becker, and what I do is create tailor-made result plans that ensure people will hit their targets. If you are committed for real results, let's chat and see which program is right for you and your team. Goals are just what we want, but together, results are what we will achieve.
Hello, my name is Charles Sanders, and I'm a personal injury attorney with the Rose Sanders Law Firm, based in Texas and with offices in Houston, Dallas, McAllen, and El Paso. We assist individuals throughout the entire state who have suffered harm due to the negligence of another person. With my experience as an insurance adjuster, I understand and I know exactly how to counter the strategies employed by insurance companies, and I'm bringing this knowledge to you. We handle a wide variety of situations ranging from car accidents to defamation and unsafe property conditions. We are here to provide support and legal representation at no cost to you. Call us today at 713-221-3773.
As a home or business owner, it can be tough to find a painting company that you can rely on. Look no further. Hi, I'm Courtney Hughes, owner of 360 Painting West Houston, your go-to painting company for residential and commercial needs. 360 Painting's mission is simple. We want to provide you with the highest quality finish and the best painting experience possible. Our company's residential and commercial painting services are founded on 3 core values. First, quality. We ensure the use of premium paints, high quality finishes, and proven painting methods. Second, professionalism. We are committed to professional and responsive painting services. We coordinate and plan projects around your schedule and will treat your property with the utmost respect. And lastly, customer service. Your satisfaction is our #1 priority. So before laying a single brushstroke, we will make sure that we understand your vision for your home or office, and we'll do all that we can to paint that vision into reality. We strive to complete every project to your specifications, and we ensure professional, accountable, and reliable service from the first brushstroke to the last. So the next time that you need your home or business painted, give us a call for your free estimate at 713-829-1581.
Hey, are you a small business owner that's struggling to double or triple your revenue and profits? My name is Michael Rager. I'm your business guide with Teach Your Business to Fish. Our success operating system will help you double or triple your profits every 2 to 3 years while actually maintaining some semblance of a home life. Call us at 713-201-5559 and we'll help you become a real success.
Welcome back, and Dr. Barbara Manusso continues to give her wisdom to us again. This time we wanted to talk about arbitration. This is an important topic because quite a lot of entrepreneurs might find themselves in a situation where they're invited to an arbitration, and to understand the difference between mediation and arbitration is a crucial thing. So thank you so much, Dr. Manusso, for wanting to share that wisdom with us. And please tell us in brief words, what's the difference between mediation and arbitration?
Well, in mediation, thank you for having me talk about this, because so many business people don't understand the distinction or the opportunity or the way that it can be used as a political strategy. But mediation is when the parties, not the mediator, the parties are the ones who find and build their own solutions. In arbitration, the arbitrator acts as almost a judge would act, because the arbitrator is the one who will render an opinion, and they render an opinion only on the information brought to that arbitration. And prior to the arbitration, it's very distinctive exactly what will be arbitrated. So that's a big distinction. In mediation, sometimes the conversation moves on and people move on to a solution that moves even away from the conflict. But in arbitration, you are mandated to only arbitrate on what was requested to be arbitrated at the hearing.
Yes, and so Natalia and I, we both were your students when it came to arbitration course that we took from you. And one of the things that I remember standing out for me was that unlike in mediation, in arbitration, arbitrators tend to be very industry-specific individuals, meaning they know the industry inside and out, and so they're able to, I guess, act as a judge. People trust them more because they're offering resolution to a conflict that both parties or all the sides, put stake in, right? They believe that the arbitrator knows what they're doing. So in your experience, how important is this factor of the arbitrator having some kind of knowledge in the industry? Because I would imagine a business person who's dealing with a plumbing disagreement with a client might not want to go to an arbitrator whose background is in dealing with, I don't know, veterinarian issues. So how important is it when it comes to the arbitrator's knowledge?
Well, I will give you an answer that you might not want to hear exactly, because that is kind of the arbitrator does not have to be well versed in the genre that they are arbitrating for. It is often requested if you're doing a construction case, or like you mentioned, plumbing, or sometimes the parties feel more comfortable. Now, the arbitrator cannot bring in their knowledge if it is not already brought to them by the parties. So sometimes having knowledge in a particular area might not be a benefit, because then the arbitrator is introducing information that the parties themselves are not bringing to the arbitration, which is not appropriate and is an ethical problem. So you can be totally uninformed of the subject matter that you are going to arbitrate for, because the parties are supposed to educate and inform the arbitrator on what they feel is they're entitled to. And then the arbitrator makes the decision based on the information given. But let me follow up with that and say, if a person has background in construction or real estate or something very specific, medicine or invention, something very specific, while the parties are at the arbitration hearing, and the formal rules of engagement that you'd have in a court don't apply in arbitration. So in an arbitration, you have a little bit of mediation because the parties can be a little free-spirited with each other. And the arbitrator can ask a question that maybe is an open question to elicit information from both parties. They couldn't just ask one party, well, why didn't you do this? But they can ask an open question that the parties then fill in. Both have the opportunity to fill in the blanks. So that's where being specific to the genre might be very handy if the arbitrator can see there's a hole or people who are not presenting their information well. But they're asking both parties at the same time an open question to get them to tighten the information they're bringing to the table, if that helps.
Dr. Manusa, when I picture mediation and arbitration, I picture myself like in mediation you have two people conversating and a mediator who is a part of this conversation, facilitating it in a way and giving ideas for new solutions and leading this process. However, when I picture arbitration, I see parties and someone who is a little higher than they are. It is a little bit like a private judge. Is my picture and understanding correct?
Yes, that's not wrong. Yes, that is correct. One of the distinctions in mediation, the parties come together again to hear and be heard, and the mediator facilitates their conversation and helps them through the process, so that they can come to a solution. In arbitration, a big distinction is that, again, that there is one item usually, maybe two, but it's designated before the arbitration what they're going to be supporting and providing witness to, and the arbitrator is sworn in and the parties are sworn in. You don't swear in the mediator and you don't swear in the parties in a mediation. So in arbitration, you're kicking it up a notch, and the arbitrator doesn't give the opinion of the decision while the parties are there. They will take the information that the parties give them. Sometimes it's in writing, sometimes it's been oral, sometimes they'll have witnesses that'll come into the arbitration, and the arbitrator will then ask some questions, perhaps open questions, that both parties have an opportunity to provide information for, and then the arbitrator will leave and have whatever the arbitration rules are for that. Every arbitration's different depending on, we call it a panel, the group that has asked you to arbitrate. So it could be 10 days later, 20 days later, 30 days later, could be 2 months later, whatever is determined. And that's when, within that time, the arbitrator will put their decision always in writing and will be provided to the parties.
Yes.
And that's a big distinction.
So
it might not be immediate. The solution in mediation could be immediate. The solution in arbitration might have a legal delay of time.
Okay. So how does a person then find themselves at an arbitration? And earlier, when you had talked about mediation, you had said they might find themselves at mediation by being court-ordered or by coming to you voluntarily. Is it the same thing for arbitration? Because I'm thinking that most people just see a contract clause in an agreement that they sign saying, hey, you got to arbitrate this dispute. Is that typically how people find themselves in the arbitration?
Yes, and a lot of companies are now using arbitration as a business strategy. And they will have a clause. If you look at your credit cards, if you look at your automobile lease or purchase, if you have a problem with the vendor, you are obligated to go to arbitration. So you can't file a court request to be arbitrated. You're going to go directly to an arbitrator. And there's organizations like the National Association of Arbitrators, or AAA, the American Association for Arbitration, and there's JAMA. That's another big organization, and there's quite a few other ones and international ones. And the arbitrators on their list are all people who are already vetted. They've already met a minimum standard of length of time that they've arbitrated, and they will be on and then they're rotated. The organization will rotate the roster, so different people are selected. And if somebody says, oh, I do want somebody in construction, they'll rotate the construction list. Or maybe maritime is a big one. And right now a lot is being done in healthcare. And surprise billing is a very big issue nationally. Medicare, Medicaid, a lot of your government agencies and a lot of big businesses require that if you want to use their services, you're going to agree that you're going to arbitrate. And you can do it two ways. Either you can be sent by the court and told to arbitrate, but usually it's within a contract. And I know transportation companies will call and say, if we have a dispute, can we put your name in our business contract so your company will arbitrate for us?
Thank you so much, Dr. Manuso. This is an absolutely amazing thing. I just want to close out with saying that you are an arbitrator yourself, and anybody interested can come to you and use your services. So what's the best way to get hold of you for an arbitration?
Well, you're always welcome to call. Our website is manuso.us, and you can email me, you can call me, and never be surprised when I pick up the phone.
Awesome. All right. We'll be right back. Thank you so much.
Probably should use the phone number.
Oye, Lily dice que AT&T le da a todos las mejores ofertas.
Minus the air quotes.
Las mejores ofertas.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Te lo dije, aquí las mejores ofertas son para todos con una variedad de planes.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
En AT&T les damos a todos nuestras mejores ofertas en cada smartphone.
Hey, are you a small business owner that's struggling to double or triple your revenue and profits? My name is Michael Rager. I'm your business guide with Teach Your Business to Fish. Our success operating system will help you double or triple your profits every 2 to 3 years while actually maintaining some semblance of a home life. Call us at 713-201-5559 and we'll help you become a real success.
En esta era digital, las tarjetas de presentación de negocio son cosa del pasado. De hecho, la mayoría de las personas que las reciben las pierden en cuestión de minutos. La videotarjeta de negocios de NowMedia es un video de su negocio especialmente creado por nuestros expertos con toda su información de contacto, los productos y servicios de su negocio y puede ser enviado de manera rápida utilizando su teléfono móvil. Cientos de negocios ya están viendo la diferencia. Llámenos hoy al 832-384-9588.
¿Estás cansado de la inseguridad, la situación económica y de ya sabes quién? ¿Te gustaría salir de México y emigrar a Estados Unidos? Soy Edmundo Treviño y quiero compartir contigo más de 20 años como inmigrante emprendedor en Estados Unidos. Sígueme en todas mis redes sociales para que juntos logremos ese gran sueño de emigrar y lograr conquistar el mercado americano.
Welcome again after the break, and it is our pleasure to segue now to the second part of the program where we will be dealing with some Mexican legal issues. And today with us, our friend and colleague, attorney from Mexico, Carlos Alvarado. Carlos, it's great to have you again.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hi, Carlos. And so continuing this conversation about international child abduction, because that's what you do, that's your expertise in Mexico. Remind us again, where exactly are you located in Mexico?
It's right in the middle of the country, a city called León, between Mexico City and Guadalajara, those big cities. So we are right in the middle.
Yes, but as you explained, you actually you're able to work in all the courts in Mexico, dealing with these kind of issues. And so the issue of international child abduction, again, as we mentioned before, we've all worked with these kind of matters. And something Natalia had said before we started recording this episode, a lot of international relocation of children happen between countries that border each other. And so, for example, in her situation where she's in Poland, a lot of the relocations happen between Poland and Germany. And so, is it true that the same kind of dynamic is occurring between Mexico and the United States whenever you're having children going back and forth, where one parent takes a child without the other parent's consent and agreement?
Yeah, it is true. And the reason is, it's pretty easy, the immigration from USA to Mexico and from Mexico to USA. Yeah, it's totally true.
Yeah, and I have some numbers actually I wanted to just bring to your attention, and tell us how this strikes you. And this is from Wikipedia. The United States State Department reports that 65% of all outgoing international parental abductions from the United States to Hague Convention countries like Mexico are 65%, okay, from the U.S. to Mexico. And of all the incoming international child abduction cases internationally to the U.S. are 41% from Mexico. How does that strike you?
It's totally true again, I think the reason it's just immigration, It's pretty easy from Mexicans to cross the border, either with papers or no papers, and establish for some time in the States, and they just decide a student to get back to Mexico and bring the child, or just to ask for permission to stay in Mexico for some time and decide not to get back to the state with a child, then it's a wrongful retention. And vice versa is just the same. I am sure that basically the main reason it's the closest, to the border. We are neighbors. We are country neighbors, and again, it's the facility to live in the States with papers, and some other cases just to cross the border with no papers, and from the people in America to live in Mexico or to settle in Mexico. Again, the country, Mexico is a welcome country for USA citizens, and a lot of people settle even in Guanajuato state, not only in the beaches, like Puerto Vallarta or Cancun, or Los Cabos. So in other cities like Guanajuato or San Miguel, American people decide to settle here to build family, and sometimes these tragic cases happen when one of the parents decide to abduct or just to wrongfully detain remove the kids from the habitual resident of the child, of the children.
And Carlos, I will ask Mark very kindly to also bring us the numbers, because when we only talk about percentages, we probably don't know exactly what the real numbers are. But in the meantime, because this is so massive, and I know that by fact that you are really one of the ones to go to in Mexico for child abduction, I wanted you to tell us a little bit about the procedure. So if really a child is abducted in Mexico, how efficient it can be, how many courts will be involved, and how will it work for a parent, as we call them, the left behind parent from the States, to try and find the child that's been abducted to Mexico?
Okay, first of all, we have to keep in mind that each case is different, and the circumstances around the case are different. My first advice to a parent who is suffering this issue is to contact immediately an attorney with experience on the Hague Convention, even even before they submit the application to the USA Central Authority or Mexican Central Authority. Why? When you submit your application to the USA Central Authority, you have to fill it up a form, and you have to comply with two requirements. You have to prove that you have the right, to exercise your legal custody over the children, and you have to prove that the habitual resident of those children were the States. You don't need to prove anything else. But in the court in Mexico, especially when you go to the judge, there is going to be many accusations, like sexual abuse, like some kind of family abuse, some issues, domestic violence, etc., etc., etc. But the central authority doesn't say that, they just require fill it out a form, send some papers to prove custody and to prove habitual residence. They should ask you, there is any issue? Do you think that she's going to accuse you, or he's going to accuse you, or anything, or something? So you can be ready in court. What happened is USA Central Authority sent the application along with these papers to Mexican Central Authority. Mexican Central Authority received the application with the papers, and they submit the application along with the papers and the Hague Convention in writing, and petition saying, on behalf of the USA Central Authority, we are sending you like Guanajuato State courthouse, so you can please do anything possible to get the kids, secure the kids, and send the kids back to the States.
Yeah, and Carlos, let me
Yes.
just quickly interrupt you, because I know that you're getting into lots of the little details of the procedural aspects. But overall, when somebody wants to do this whole process, how long would it actually take to go through?
I have no answer for that. Again, each case is different. Yeah, you know, it depends, especially because we have a lot of legal remedies in Mexico. So just to retard the cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, in your experience, give us, I guess, the extremes. What's been the quickest way you've been able to have a child return back, and then what's been the longest?
The quickest, 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And 2 weeks, yeah. And the longest, 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And let me interfere with that. I remember, because we talked about this case, that was about a case from Europe, and the execution of it, actually, enforcement, took so long because even after the judgment, it was difficult to localize the children. Am I right?
Yes.
But then I also remember that you used some very effective measures, very skilled way to find the children. Can you tell us closer what it was?
Yeah, in that particular case that we were talking, the mother started with another law firm, 3 years. She worked with this law firm 3 years, and then she decided to hire our law firm. So we spent 8 years plus the other 3. Basically, she spent 11 years fighting for, you know, her children.
But with a success.
But, I'm sorry?
With a success, complete and full success. She recovered the children.
And again, we have the final resolution, final, saying you are allowed to take your kids and bring them back to the States. And I was looking basically since December 2018 for those kids. And Interpol secured the kids back. I was in Poland, indeed. That Interpol secured the kids in January 2023, means almost 5 years after we got this final resolution. And we investigate. We have our methods to locate kids. We have our own detectives. So yeah, we do that service as well.
Yes, and Carlos, as we start wrapping up, just wanted to mention this quick study that extrapolates that about 354,000 abductions occur every year by family members from the U.S. to Mexico in custody disputes. And the same study reports that 114,000 stranger abductions are attempted every year, of which about 3,000 to 4,000 are actually successful. So there's a lot of people moving back and forth between the borders without, well, sometimes with papers, but one parent decides that they want to take a child and bring the child across to another country. So, Carlos, real quick, if people want to contact you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
I think there is the email. It's in Spanish. It's elabogadoalvarado@gmail.com. Yeah, that's awesome. That's the easiest way to contact me.
Thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll continue after the break.
Hey, Lily says AT&T is giving everyone their best deals.
Minus the air quotes.
Best deals.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Told you, the best deals are for everyone here, with a choice of plans.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
At AT&T, we give everyone our best deals on every smartphone.
As a home or business owner, it can be tough to find a painting company that you can rely on. Look no further. Hi, I'm Courtney Hughes, owner of 360 Painting West Houston, your go-to painting company for residential and commercial needs. 360 Painting's mission is simple. We want to provide you with the highest quality finish and the best painting experience possible. Our company's residential and commercial painting services are founded on 3 core values. First, quality. We ensure the use of premium paints, high quality finishes, and proven painting methods. Second, professionalism. We are committed to professional and responsive painting services. We coordinate and plan projects around your schedule and will treat your property with the utmost respect. And lastly, customer service. Your satisfaction is our #1 priority. So before laying a single brushstroke, we will make sure that we understand your vision for your home or office, and we'll do all that we can to paint that vision into reality. We strive to complete every project to your specifications, and we ensure professional, accountable, and reliable service from the first brushstroke to the last. So the next time that you need your home or business painted, give us a call for your free estimate at 713-829-1581.
Welcome back, and Carlos Alvarado, our guest, is here with us again. This time we're going to talk about something that might be of interest to many people, which is whether it is possible to have a family dispute, and this time a divorce dispute, in Mexico when you are still in the US, and basically what a divorce process, divorce proceedings in Mexico entail. Carlos, great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you again, guys.
Yeah, Carlos, so tell us, you worked at the U.S. consulate, well, at the Mexican consulate in the U.S. for some time, so you're familiar with some of the laws we have here when it comes to divorce. But I want to hear about the divorce process in Mexico, especially when you have people living on this side of the border in the United States, but then they're going through a divorce out there. How do we address issues involving kids and property?
Well, basically, starting in 2013, Mexican system doesn't need any cause to file for a divorce. Back in the time, you have to submit your divorce case and specify why you want to get a divorce out of a list of causes. But now Supreme Court rule and say, you don't need to do that. It's just you want to get divorced. That's all you have to do. So at this point, get divorced in Mexico. It's very quick, very easy, and it's very cheap. Because in Mexico, the state gives you justice for free. Well, not for free out of our taxes, but doesn't cost to the parties to go to court, just to pay the attorney's fees.
So when you are already in the divorce proceedings in Mexico, what will be decided? For example, there are kids already. We know that people can divorce, but what issues of the kids will also be decided in the same case, in the same divorce decree, divorce judgment?
Well, if you have kids, you have to decide what is going to happen with the kids. Also, what is going to happen with the parties, because normally one of the parties watch over the kids during the living together, and the other party decide to work and support financially the family. Obviously, when the divorce get to the end, the party who decide to support financially the kids will have, some assets, maybe some money, and that party has the obligation to share to the other party who was just supporting the family, the kids inside the house, with that. So we call that compensation. And then we have the child support, but also we have a support to the wife or to the husband who doesn't work during the living together. Also, you have to decide physical custody, and also you have to decide what you call, guys, legal custody, which in Mexico is called patria potestad. So there is some other issues around the divorcing case.
Okay. And do the children have any say in these divorces at a certain age in Mexico?
Say again, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Do the children have any say on who they live with in Mexico at any age?
It depends, the law is pretty similar like in America. Is the kid it's mature enough to express it wish where to live or who to live or how to do the parenting time, judge has the obligation to listen to every kid during this process. Yes.
And tell us, imagine.
Let me get back to the question. I'm sorry. It's not about the age, the biological age. It's about the mature, because there are some people, like a teenagers, and they don't have the enough mature to express. Even they decide not to talk to judge. They say, I don't want to talk to judge, and that's the right. But there are some kids, like a 7, 8 years with enough mature that they can express themselves, and they want to talk to judge, and they want to say, I want to live with my dad or with my mom, and express the reasons why they want to choose dad or mom.
And tell us, please, because this is where I'm heading. There is a lot of Mexican citizens living here in Texas and all around the U.S. And tell us, is it possible for people who reside here, legally or illegally? I'm not saying that at this time, I'm not determining that. Is it possible for them to still divorce in Mexico?
You have to reside in Mexico. You have to live in Mexico to apply for a divorce. Let's say, okay, a couple married in the States, their certificate it's issued in Texas, but they are living, or one of the parties living in Mexico, and the party who is living in Mexico wants to submit or want to file for a divorce. Yes, they can utilize that license, and a Mexican judge will listen to the case and will notify the other party in case the other party is living in the States or abroad. This is one of the common questions from some clients. Mr. Alvarado, I got married in America, but now I'm living here, but I want to get a divorce. Can I do that? The answer is yes, you can do that.
Okay, well, continue with that. What about if they have property? Say, for example, they have a house here in the U.S. because they were residents in the U.S. They bought a house together, but now one or both live in back home. How does that impact the divorce process in Mexico?
Well, this is a very good question indeed. You have to release this information to the judge, because judge doesn't know anything about the life together. So if you want to have an agreement, then you release this information in case both agree to the condition and to the divorce. But it's only one people submit for a divorce and the other people doesn't want to do that or want to dispute about the states, the real estates or any other assets. So you have to put a list, the whole list of those assets. So then judge can decide and distribute those assets between the parties and even between the kids.
So it is possible to divide the marital property within the divorce proceedings in Mexico. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is it obligatory? So do you really need to do that?
Yeah, a judge will take care of that. You have to apply, you have to release that information to the judge. You have to prove, that you own or the other party own that property, and then it's gonna be a big fight. But at the end, judge will decide how to distribute those assets.
So, Carlos, in the U.S., sometimes our divorce proceedings can become very nasty, okay? Very mean-spirited, and you have like witnesses and in-laws and grandparents and lots of family and businesses sometimes, especially when it's a family-owned business that's an asset of the marriage, it gets very complicated. In Mexico, is it similar? Do you have extremely contested divorce proceedings that are filled with acrimony? Or is it a little bit easier to deal with than the US? Just give us what your impression is on that.
It is exactly the same. It is exactly the same. It can be very easy, but especially when there is no more love, there is no more respect between the couple, it's just as nasty as in the States, And if they build a good asset, they decide, to have properties and businesses, then it got very, very long cases and hard cases, and as you say, witnesses and expert witness and dispute for the children, and then this introduction of information, one children against the other parent, and then bring the kids to talk against the other parent, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's pretty similar. And in another cases, it's just easy, that we don't have kids, we don't have assets, let's just get divorced and keep our life, pretty smooth.
One last really short question that I have to you because of the shortage of time, because we'll be wrapping up, is about the role of mediation in the divorce process. From our previous conversations, I know that Mexico is not really still very much into mediating those things, but maybe at least the agreements are honored, and if the parties already know what they want, the proceedings go smoother. Tell me something about it.
According with the Mexican Federal Constitution, now we privilege, the mediation. Okay, you guys can go and talk and decide if you want to have an agreement instead of the judge who doesn't know you guys make the decisions. Now, Mexican legal system, like a family courts, they have a mediator. This mediator works for the court. It's not a private mediator. There is some private mediators, but you have the choice to go to this mediation process, or you have the choice not to take these free service from the court to go to mediation. It's an option, yeah, but family court, they have this service now in Mexico.
All right, so Carlos, thank you so much for your time today. You're the go-to guy in Mexico for everything family law, from divorces to international child relocation and abduction. Okay, so this is Legal Talk, and hopefully everything that you heard today was informative and educational for you. And tune in back to make sure that you don't miss a beat and continue learning alongside of us when it comes to all these great guests who come on to this bilingual channel. All right, so Mac Pierre-Louis, attorney, mediator, arbitrator.
And Natalia Orłowska-Czajka, on behalf of both of us and NowMedia, signing off.
Thank you so much.
This has been a NowMedia television feature presentation. All rights reserved. Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world. You are watching NowMedia Television.
Hi, welcome to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business host and guide, Michael Rager, and I'm so excited about this show today. Well, let's kick it off a little bit. We're going to talk about strategy. Last week we started talking about the 6 cylinders of business and what we need to do to actually, run a business. And the number one cylinder you've got to put together in your business is strategy. In strategy, we got to look at two types. We got short term and long term.